Hello, welcome to the BeeRPad. I am Marcus Beer, and the very excited, astounded, and generally surprised person right over there is Ray Padilla.
Oh,
Hello, Ray.
right here. Hello, Marcus. How are you
How
today,
are
man?
we? Oh, it's good. I'm good. It's been a long time since we've talked. And today we are going back to a recurring theme, which is Star Wars. And we are talking about Mandalorian. 3 episodes in, season 3, all the threes. We're rocking it. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying the hell out of Mando so far, but it seems a lot of people had a problem with chapter 19, which is the third episode of this season. Um, it begins and ends about Din Djarin, the titular Mandalorian, but the middle takes place in Coruscant, which I loved seeing that planet. That's the capital of that galaxy far
The
away.
city planet of Coruscant.
Yeah. And, Book of Boba Fett and the previous seasons of The Mandalorian, the majority took place in the Outer Rim. So, there's only so many Outer Rim jobs a man can take. So I'm glad we got to go to Coruscant and, see a different part of the galaxy. But some people had a problem with it because it wasn't about the majority of the episode wasn't about Din Djarin, didn't have anything to do with Mandalorians directly, but I think it sets a lot of things up. And just from a pure storytelling perspective, I thought it was a fantastic episode. How did you feel about it?
It rolled back to a couple of characters that we've seen before. The
Yeah.
scientist who was going to experiment on Grogu back in the day, and another Imperial officer who have been through rehabilitation and are now working with the New Republic.
Right.
And I think obviously the episode does start. Let's get the Mando things out of the way.
Yeah.
He goes back to this clan, shows them the water, says, I have nearly drowned myself in the, because this is the thing that confused me. He went under. What grabbed him?
Right.
It wasn't that big dragon motherfucker, was it? So what was it? Or is he just that clumsy? It's like, I will kill 150 enemies, no problem. Oh, God, it's water.
Yeah, when that happened, I thought it was the mythosaur that dragged him down, but apparently maybe not. So
yeah, because if it had dragged him down, wouldn't it have eaten him? Anyway, so yes, he took his bath and he came back with some water, and he hasn't taken his helmet off since. And this is the way he's been redeemed. Cuckoo. Religious whack jobs, everybody. We love the Mando, but come on, that not taking your mask off thing in front of others.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan's got it right as far as I'm concerned, but apparently she's been redeemed too, so she can join the Kool-Aid.
But I kind of like that they're kind of appreciating each other's takes on Mandalorian culture a bit more.
I think it's a little bit scary for me. That whole cult, it is kind of culty. It is culty with a capital C-U-N-T.
Well, I think both you and I are a bit wary of organized religion in general. So,
well, that's because we live in a country where a very small minority, or two very small minorities in evangelical Christians and the Catholic Church, actually have way too much power. And they shouldn't have any power at all, because let's face it, if you want to believe in Skyfinger, go believe in Skyfinger. Just keep it out of my government, keep it out of my laws, and keep it out of my house, and keep it out of my pants. Controversy. There you go. There's a fun clip for you. So he's been redeemed. He was there. Everybody was hugging and clapping, and everybody's like, all right, all happy. And then we go off to Coruscant.
Yes.
And we see that
we see that the New Republic's kind of fucked up with this rehabilitation camp.
Oh, it's such a slam on the ultra liberal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a decade ago, or just over a decade ago, where you have all these rich white people who's like, well, I voted for Obama. Yeah, isn't he wonderful? He's black, And we have these everywhere. They are literally the flip side of the coin of the extreme right neo-fascist. These are the ones who are just like, they're kind of like, oh, my wrists are so floppy because I'm doing this because I feel for the Ukraine, but what can I really do? I was like, I have a black friend and he's black. Or I have a gay friend, openly gay.
Right.
And you see that wretched, entitled, rich, corrupt bunch of assholes. Right. That are, the ones who are like, oh yes, you experimented on small children. It did give me a flashback to the US and Nazi scientists after World War II, obviously with the space program and NASA. But it's like, oh yes, you experimented on small children. How harrowing for you. Are you okay? Would you like a sweetie? But it's that sent a shiver right up and down my spine. But yeah, we see this. We see the scientist in particular. It focuses on him. And he is, he's now doing a dead end job. He wants to go back and start working on cloning, and he can't. And he falls in with this other Republican former Empire.
Right. Elia Kane. She was a comms officer. Or was she?
Officer. I don't know.
See there. I'll get to a theory about that later.
Yeah, and she pretends to be his friend, and she says, we can get you a mobile lab, and you can start doing your experiments again off books because this all been banned by the New Republic Accords and blah blah blah.
Right.
And basically, to cut a very long story short, they break into the old Imperial shipyards where ships are being
they're just destroying all these Imperial things.
Yeah, all these, because they're Imperial things, because you have to destroy them. I understand the use of I do understand some things actually being usable. And it's a setup. She set him up.
Right.
And he gets arrested and he has to go back to rehabilitation. And rehabilitation is the mind flayer. It's, it's the old electroshock therapy.
It's a lobotomy.
Apparently if you have it on very low, it feels like somebody's tickling your naughty bits with a feather. And that's quite nice. And you can actually see him with this thing on, he's strapped in and it's over his eyes and his ears. And he's like, oh, pretty light. So he's having some sort of audio-visual high. But then she's watching, having turned him in.
Right.
And she, under the guise of being his friend, persuades the supervising scientist, whatever, to leaving her with the control system, which he then amps up to 11.
He turns, and fries him.
In total spinal tap. And she basically turns his brain into mush.
Yes.
And then you've got to wonder. So it's obvious that there is somebody out there who wanted this guy dead. He's like, you're not working for the New Republic. If you're not with us, you're dead. And I think it's interesting because they were both on
Moff Gideon's ship.
Gideon's ship. Because obviously Moff Gideon wanted Grogu. He wanted the Darksaber as well. And there's that connection of, what's going to come back. And I think as a standalone episode, much like when we talked about Ted Lasso in our last episode, and we talked about Coach Beard's night out in London. Ted Lasso was barely in it, but this is one of these ones that go off and you just don't see your main characters or your main character. And I'm totally down with this because it gives people, it gives the main cast and crew, or the main cast, a break. It tells a different story in a different perspective, and it becomes more powerful further down the line because it provides a lot of context.
Yes.
Now, obviously, the first two episodes were very Mando heavy, and look, we can't have Pedro Pascal and Bionic Grogu, the little wind-up, whatever hand puppet that he is, in every single episode, or it'll get dull and boring. because they'll be just scooting around the outer rims. So yes, I mean, this hints at something that's going to be very interesting. It's hinting at something coming for Mando, because he does hold the Darksaber very badly. He still doesn't know how to use that Darksaber.
Yeah, he's kind of crap at it, isn't he?
He is kind of crap at it. And then they're going to come after Grogu again because they want him for whatever reason. So yes, I thought it was a great aside episode, a day in the life or a week in the life of someone you wouldn't really know about, and it fleshes out this universe, and it fleshes out these supporting characters, so it will have more impact further down the line. And as we discussed in the Ted Lasso episode, people are critiquing Mando season 3 so far, because it's not as good as the first season. It's not as good as the second season.
I mean, it's not even a third of the way. How do you know? There's 10 episodes. We've seen 3. We're at 30%. We're at 30%.
And I think it's one of those. Again, we discussed it, and I will say again what I said in the last show. Fucking relax. Enjoy the ride. Come on. Would you rather there was no Mando? Would you rather that this was Book of Boba Fett season 2? Because I know I wouldn't. You want to talk about a crap season that started off so well and had so much potential that basically became a B side version of a spaghetti western, and not in a good way. I mean, I am looking forward to Mando hopefully getting away from the outer rim jobs. I hope he gets into those soft, gooey center of the universes.
Let's see.
I
do wonder. There's
got to be some variety. We've got to move on, and this ever expanding universe, and they're doing it. To be fair, after fucking up the movies, the last 6 movies out of Star Wars, 7 if you count Solo, which I still stand by my claim that it's actually an underappreciated gem.
I agree with you. I don't know about gem. I think it's definitely underappreciated.
But look, rewatch it. It's very underappreciated and fits tonally with Andor and with Mando in my opinion.
Okay.
But if you look at these how they've flipped the script, no pun intended, and the TV shows are actually better than the movies have been. Obviously, I'm just talking about the sequels and the prequels. I'm not talking about Rogue One. I'm not talking, and they've moved to having smarter television. I'm fine with that, because Marvel have gone. Well, I mean, we talk about Marvel. They've just seemed to have just gone off the boil with everything they do, and then we need a break from that. But I think Star Wars is just the Star Wars universe is actually a lot better, and these stories are really enjoyable. And we can't have Mandalorian every time. I mean, he's a mysterious character, and how many times is he going to turn up, save the day, or be saved by Grogu or by Bo-Katan or whoever?
Right. Now, I do wonder, the people that have complained about this episode, how many of them are the same people that said the best part about Book of Boba Fett were the Mandalorian centric episodes? So I don't know, having your cake and eating it too. But to your point, I do agree with you totally that this adds a lot of context for what's presumably to come later. I like that it establishes that the New Republic isn't all, rosy and perfect. There's a reason why it collapsed after 23 years, in addition to all the New Order nonsense. And just the world building and the character building it does. And I like that the name of the episode was The Convert. So we have Dr. Pershing being, in the rehabilitation camp, but also Bo-Katan maybe being converted into the Children of the Watch.
Yes. Yeah. And yes, you're right. I mean, the New Order caused a lot of havoc. I think Bernard Sumner's got a lot to answer for. Comedy, musical joke. If you don't know who New Order are, shame on you. It shows every look. I don't even think it's worth arguing with the people who just complain about every single freaking episode now. And let me just say 2 words to anybody who complains about Mando in its current form or Ted Lasso. Doctor Who. let's talk about the last 3 years of Doctor Who, the last 4 years, if you will. If you want to see a show that went so far off the rails, look at Doctor Who, and you will be grateful for what the Star Wars crew and the Ted Lasso crew have done with those particular shows. Both of them absolutely excellent, keeping me very, very much entertained. My Wednesdays very enjoyable in between bouts of physical therapy. So yes, I'm happy. I'm intrigued. I want lots of threads. I want them to come together. I mean, if this becomes a pointless, why did we, vegetate his brain into mush thing and it's all forgotten about, then we can have a problem. But let the season play out. I've got trust in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. Yeah, Dave Filoni. Yeah. I do have a lot of trust. I just wish they could get Mando away from the Outer Rim, because between Rebels, which was also a Dave Filoni joint, and this one, I mean, he is such a fan of the Rim.
He loves
I just wish he needs to really pull away from the Rim and explore the other areas. I hope his partner's satisfied. That's all I can say.
So I have 2 questions for you regarding this episode. Now, the way I saw Elia
Kane, my feet up and I'm getting comfortable. Okay.
When she turns the Mind Flayer up to 11, I saw it as, okay, Dr. Pershing is done. His brains are tapioca now. But some people have theorized that no, he can still do all his cloning stuff, but he just won't have any will. He'll just be a slave. They said that's what happened to Lobot from Cloud City. That's
we actually did see that in Rebels, where we saw that that censorship. Remember this? The ship with the big, huge radar dishes. Everybody had the whole the
thingy.
The big old beats by Darth Gray. It'll be interesting to see what happens if it just basically reworks all his rehabilitation. It also just goes to show that rehabilitation is ridiculously inhumane.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Look, they're the Empire. Shoot them.
Yeah.
Just that's it. They're shooting, just fucking shoot them. I mean, and this is just another thing with regards to liberal, what are we going to do? We can't send them to jail. Let's give them another chance. We're talking about baby killers here. We're talking about people experimented on other species. We're talking about people who oversaw genocides of planets.
Right.
It's not like, oh, I was just doing my job, Mind Flayer. I mean, come on. Do we not see what they're doing here? Everybody knows. Empire, Nazis, Empire. If you let Nazis get away with shit, they come back.
Right.
They come back, and if they come back and you don't squish them into the ground again, if you don't let the Empire get squished into the ground again, you get the First Order. You get the Republican Party. You get MAGA. And I mean, it's just, again, how interesting these shows are for just showing up how people who don't learn from mistakes in history are doomed to repeat them.
But see, with Dr. Pershing, I think there's a little more empathy there, because he said he got into cloning because his mother needed an organ transplant, but the technology at the time was impossible. I recall a few scenes in season 1,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was banned. It was banned on his planet, and look, that is another can of worms. Is cloning a thing? I mean,
the ethics of it. Yeah,
after what happened with the First Order.
Yeah.
Oh, not the First Order. Sorry, the original clones and the Clone Wars and so on and so forth. And Order 66. Well, yeah, I'm kind of happy to put cloning to one side, because it can go. And, I'm saying this as a man who's got a heart condition and prostate cancer. Would I like to be cloned? I don't know. I don't think so. Because, you just can't, when people are dicking with this shit. Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a big mess. So please carry on.
There are a few scenes in season 1 where he's being protective of Grogu, he's experimenting on him, but he doesn't want the child harmed. And I don't think he's coming from a place of malevolence. I think he's horribly naive, and obviously he was easy to manipulate, but I wouldn't say he's evil.
He's blinded by science, blinded by his own his desire to. And look, I think this is a standard thing that they say with with scientists, especially. They said it with the Nazis who came to work on the rocket program. They just wanted to further the science.
Right.
If the science had sent bombs into New York and wiped them out, well, they'd furthered the science.
Right.
There's, I'm sorry, if you were really good at what you do and you use that for evil, then you are see you next Tuesday.
Okay, fair enough. Now, my second question for you is, I presume that Kane, played by Katy O'Brian, is a sleeper agent for Moff Gideon, who she served in the previous season. But some people are speculating that she is really a sleeper agent for Grand Admiral Thrawn, who will...
We know Thrawn's coming back in Ashoka.
Yeah.
Could be a sleeper agent for him. Could be a sleeper agent for Gideon. I mean, we do know they're starting to do these interlocking things. Could she be a sleeper agent for somebody in the First Order?
Right.
I mean, could we be looking at the First Order down the line? I mean, we are getting closer and closer to that time that the First Order starts to rise.
And we know Palpatine is cloned eventually. So, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, very, very interesting and tricky. But I try not to think too much about these things. I just try to enjoy the show and come out and say, I thought it was good. I did. Bloody marvelous, isn't it? That Mandalorian. I think he's lovely.
So, Katy O'Brian, I thought she did well as that manipulative sleeper agent. We saw her in Ant-Man. I thought she was one of the few bright spots of that movie.
She don't get me wrong, she was good, but I mean, you could tell that there was something up from the get-go. I mean, all that was missing every time she came on screen was dun dun dun.
Or doing a Dr. Evil thing,
Have some biscuits. You miss the yellow travel biscuits. Have a big fucking tin. I mean, my wife called it actually before I even registered. She said, "Oh, there's something off with her." Well, look at her. She's standing in the shadows all the bloody time.
Yeah,
she's in the shadows.
Well, it's also easy to have the male scientist manipulated by the pretty face. I mean,
well, that's the thing. At least it wasn't. Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a pretty face thing. I mean, she's undeniably an attractive young lady, but I think it's more a case of pandering to the ego, having somebody who, when you see his life and what he has to do, and living in his little cardboard box of a room, and somebody showing him some kindness.
Yeah.
It's Nate from Ted Lasso all over again.
That's true. Yeah.
Only this one had his fall a lot quicker. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what she gets up to. We'll see what happens to Dr. Scrambled Eggs.
And I also wanted to point out that this episode was directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who directed Minari, which was one of my favorite movies of 2020. So it was very cool to see him get a chance doing something cool and mainstream like The Mandalorian. And if you haven't seen Minari, please go see it. It's about a Korean family that tries farming in, I want to say, Arkansas.
That's right. Yes, I remember. I saw the trailer for it. I think it came out on Hulu or something not long after Parasite had been a huge success.
Yeah, it was the year after.
And I think my darling wife did watch it.
Highly recommended. If it's still on Hulu, please go watch it. If nothing else is in your queue. Now, speaking of other Star Wars properties, your world is very Star Warsy for the last few weeks, hasn't it been?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, I've been watching Rebels at your at your behest. I watched it all. I watched all 3 episodes, and now I'm slowly getting into the Clone Wars, which is not as much fun.
Yes.
Um, but Rebels was really impressive, really interesting. Obviously, you get to that ending where
Yeah.
Thrawn and Ezra are thrown. And spoilers. Show's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Thrawn and Ezra are literally thrown to the other side of the universe by some hyperspace whale squids.
As seen in
And
episode 1 of The Mandalorian season 3.
well, yes, and now we know that Thrawn is coming back in Ashoka.
Yes.
And is Ezra coming back?
Yes, he has been cast.
Okay,
Sabine has been cast as well.
So we've got all these characters coming back. And yeah, I just decided, especially as there's been a lot of Star Wars space, I decided to boot up the Old Republic again, Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I went and played as a Sith and just started a new character, and I'm just tootling through, not paying for it. It's free,
Right.
and it's fun. It's fun, and it's thoroughly recommended. It's one of those games that's been out long enough now, 11 years, I think, that you can actually run it on a medium-powered laptop or a decent laptop nowadays. And I recommend everybody give it a go because it's free. And maybe Ray will download it, get on, and we will form our own little clan of Sith monkeys running around with our lightsabers going stabby, stabby, stabby. So yeah, you mean Semel, perhaps?
May I ask what did you like and not like about Rebels? I mean, no show is perfect, so I'm sure there were parts of it you didn't like.
Yeah, I think some of it. Obviously, there was especially the first season was, oh gosh, it's a young kid with potential. He's going to get up to some japes and shenanigans, isn't he? And he did, and he made mistakes, and some of it was very, very predictable. I got bored with the returning to the same planet over and over and over, and just staying in the outer rim over and over and over and over. I understand they had perhaps animation backdrops to reuse, but everything did come full circle on the in the 3 seasons. Yeah, I think there was a lot of call outs to other sci-fi genres.
Right, you brought up
shows.
Enemy Mine, which is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, Enemy Mine, Aliens. There's some Doctor Who in there. I mean, there's a lot of influences. And I think those are the only things I really. It's like, oh, another episode where Ezra's going back to his home planet, and oh, look, there you go, he's back again, and now he's next planet over. And oh, well, I really enjoyed that episode where they found the B-wing fighters, and you never see the B-wings again. And they bought the Y-wings. All right, the Y-wing bombers, and you only see like five. You see them in like 5 minutes. They're gone again. And they didn't actually have many episodes like the latest Mandalorian where you didn't have an Ezra. Ezra was always almost always the front and center. And I think that perhaps got a little bit too much because at times you just want to slap him.
Especially the first season where he's yeah.
But on the whole, I really did enjoy it.
I'm glad. I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah.
And I think it makes the Mandalorian more interesting because there's a bunch of things like the Purgle, the space whales, and you'll know more about Ahsoka going into it now, and just things like that. I really appreciate.
We saw her in season 2 of Mando and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So we know that show's coming. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Thrawn and with Ezra and Sabine and this crew, and who else they bring, and how they work out, if they work out at all, and if they last. Because I mean, Ezra is obviously somebody who you don't see in the final set of movies,
right,
because he's not there.
Yeah.
You see the
But-
Phantom. Apparently, the Phantom's involved in some battles. The Ghost,
Yeah,
sorry, the Ghost
the
involved in
Ghost.
some battles.
Yeah, and that when all
Um,
those ships come at the end of Rise of
yeah.
Skywalker, like I said,
But
"Ah," it's
yeah, but I know I have to go and rewatch that boring pile of crap to see that bit. But yeah, where's it? Because this is again set before the New Republic or the New Order rise. So where's Ezra? Is Ezra going to come and get killed off? What's going to happen? It's very, very interesting. It's very
yeah.
actually. Hang on, Ezra. No, is so Rebels was set before A New Hope,
Yes.
and Ashoka is set in the Mandalorian timeline, which is set after the Return of the Jedi.
Right.
So Ezra's been away all this time. So obviously he's now
He's an
grown
adult.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We're
there was
looking at a 10, 20 year gap. So yeah, how does he fit in that you don't see any mention of him anywhere else?
Right. So at the end of Rebels, Sabine and Ahsoka go looking for Ezra, and presumably they fail because we see Ahsoka in the Mandalorian, trying to find out where Thrawn is. So maybe Ezra, yeah. So it is interesting.
Now I'm getting a little.
Maybe Ezra is Thrawn's prisoner or something. I don't know.
Maybe Ezra is Thrawn's dad.
Dun dun dun. Although I don't know about the biology and chronology of that.
I mean, literally, you could go cross-eyed trying to figure out the chronology on some of this stuff. So yeah, I really hope they have their ducks in a row, so that we can.
I'm sure they do. I have faith in Filoni. I'm such a big fan of that guy.
All right,
just for everything
he's done. Right. Okay.
So you are back. You like Rebels. You're back playing Star Wars.
Just for a little while, I think. Just for a little while. It's fun to take it or leave it.
Right.
Yes, I'm also watching Picard, season 3. We just finished episode 3, so we got 2 more of this season left because they haven't dropped the next one's dropping next week.
And that'll be the final one. The upcoming one is final?
Final one, yeah. I mean, we know Star Trek is having its final season of Discovery next year. Brave New Worlds will probably take up a lot of that mantle moving forward. Yeah, there's a lot of fun sci-fi out there if you have streaming.
There absolutely is. And
now it's time for my dinner.
Yes. But before that, I wanted to ask you guys out there watching, what did you think of the 3rd episode? Chapter 19. I want to know. I want to know what you're thinking.
Right. You're a nicer man than me.
Sometimes, but you're a smarter man than me. So it evens out.
No.
Oh, absolutely. This is absolutely true. So guys, share your thoughts on how The Mandalorian is going. If you watched Rebels, are you happy that Marcus is watching it? And do you want to play Star Wars with us? Should I join Marcus and play Star Wars? I have a hard time being a Sith. I don't know if I can do it. It's just
fine. We can both be bounty hunters, or we can be smugglers or Carillions. So they're missing a trick because they haven't dropped Mandos in there. You can buy some get some of that armor and stuff, I think. But
I just want to sell power converters to kids in Tatooine. That's my goal.
And soup up the scooters.
Yes. Yeah. So guys, thank you for watching the BeeRPad. Please like, subscribe, check out our social media, share,
tell everybody, tell the world, tell the galaxy, tell
far away or nearby, whatever your choice.
Push our numbers up.
And we will see you next time. Take care.